I never thought the day would come when the CEO would look me straight in the eyes and say those words. The words that crushed me, broke me, and left me feeling completely invisible. "We're letting you go." Just like that. No warning, no chance to explain. The coldest thing was, I was standing there holding my swollen belly, showing for everyone to see that I was pregnant. And yet, it didn't matter. I remember the silence that followed, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I'd just heard. Fired, because I'm pregnant. I wanted to scream, to plead, to beg her to see me as more than just a number or a problem. But all I could do was stand there, shocked, confused, and terrified about what would happen next, not just to me, but to the baby growing inside me. In that moment, something inside me shattered, but something else awakened. I didn't know it then, but that cold, harsh firing was the start of a journey that would change everything. It wasn't just about losing a job, it was about fighting for dignity, for justice, for my future, and for the life I was about to bring into this world. I want you to listen carefully, because what happened after that moment was something I never expected. The people I thought I could trust turned their backs. But the person who walked into that boardroom next, they changed everything. This story isn't just about losing a job, it's about what happens when you refuse to stay silent, even when the odds feel impossible. And believe me, the truth will shock you. Before that awful day, my life was different. I was someone who loved her work. My name is Emily, and I worked as a project manager at a growing tech company. For years I poured my heart into every task, every deadline. I wasn't just doing a job, I was building a future I believed in, not only for myself but for my family. I had started at the company as an assistant, barely knowing anything about the tech world, but I worked hard, stayed late, learned everything I could. Slowly I climbed the ladder, my team respected me, and my managers trusted me. I was proud of what I'd achieved. When I found out I was pregnant, my heart filled with joy. It was a miracle I had waited for, but alongside that happiness, I felt nervous. How would this change things at work? Would I still be seen as capable? I wanted to tell my boss as soon as possible, because I believed in honesty, and I trusted the company to be fair. The company was known for being demanding. Our CEO, Mr. Carter, was tough. People said he had no patience for excuses, and expected everyone to perform perfectly, but he was also known as fair. He rewarded hard work and dedication. I thought that if anyone could understand, he would. Balancing pregnancy and work was not easy. There were days when morning sickness hit me so hard I wanted to lie down in my office and cry, but I never let it stop me. I pushed through the fatigue, the swelling feet, the stress. I stayed late, prepared reports, managed complicated projects, and kept my team motivated. I remember one night in particular. It was a big deadline. I had been working non-stop, barely sleeping. My body ached, but I sat at my desk, reviewing every detail to make sure nothing was missed. My husband called, worried about me, but I told him, "This is important. I want to finish strong," because that was who I was, someone who didn't give up. I felt proud walking into work each day, even if I was tired. I wore my pregnancy with pride. I believed I was showing strength, not weakness. I believed that being pregnant didn't mean I was any less capable. The other employees treated me kindly. Some offered to help carry things, or let me sit when I was tired, but under the surface, I knew things were changing. The CEO's sharp eyes seemed to linger on me longer than before. The polite smiles sometimes felt forced. Still, I held on to hope. I thought maybe, just maybe, the company would support me. After all, I was doing everything right. I had been loyal, hardworking, and honest. I was ready to keep giving my best, even as my body changed. Little did I know, those hopeful days were about to come crashing down. What I didn't expect was how quickly everything could change, how easily I could be cast aside. But before that, there were moments, small victories, quiet smiles, that made me believe I could have it all, a family and a career. And then came the day when all that belief was tested in the coldest way possible. That morning started like any other. I was sitting at my desk, reviewing emails and preparing for a team meeting, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from the CEO's assistant. It simply said, "Please come to the CEO's office." Now my stomach dropped. I tried to stay calm, telling myself maybe it was just a routine check-in or something small, but deep down, I felt a cold knot of fear tighten in my chest. Why now? Why so suddenly? I smoothed my dress over my growing belly, and took a deep breath. My mind raced as I walked down the long hallways toward the CEO's office. What could this be about? Was I in trouble for something? Had I made a mistake without realizing? I tried to stay positive, but the fear whispered louder. What if this was about my pregnancy? When I reached the door, I hesitated for a moment, then knocked softly. The assistant opened the door and motioned for me to enter without a word. The room was quiet. The big polished table, the sleek chairs, and then there he was, Mr. Carter. The man I had respected, the man who had once seemed fair, was now looking at me with no warmth, no kindness, just cold, hard eyes. He didn't ask me to sit. Instead, he looked straight at me and said, "Emily, we've decided to terminate your employment, effective immediately." I blinked, my mouth went dry. "What?" I whispered. He didn't soften. "Your pregnancy is a liability to this company. We cannot afford any disruptions or potential complications. You understand, don't you?" The words hit me like a punch. But, I'm still capable. I've been working just as hard as before. I have deadlines to meet, projects to finish. I can keep going, I said, voice shaking. He raised a hand, cutting me off. "This isn't about your work, it's about the risks. We need people who can perform without distractions. That's all." I felt tears sting my eyes. "I'm not a risk, I'm still me, your employee. I'm loyal, I'm committed. I'm carrying a life inside me, but I'm not broken." He didn't blink. "We have no room for sentiment here, Emily. This is a business decision." I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask how this was legal, how he could throw me out like trash just because I was pregnant. But the room felt heavy, suffocating. I was trapped in a nightmare that I couldn't wake from. "Please," I begged softly, my voice barely audible, "give me a chance. I'll prove I can do this. Don't do this to me." His expression didn't change. "The decision is final." The words echoed in my head as I turned and walked out of the office. My legs felt weak. I wanted to collapse. My mind was a jumble of hurt, fear, and disbelief. How could someone treat me like this? How could my loyalty mean nothing? How could the place I trusted toss me aside just like that? I kept my head down, trying not to cry in front of the other employees. I wanted to run away, but I was too afraid to face what came next. Without a job, how would I take care of myself? How would I protect my baby? In that moment, I felt small, powerless, and alone. The future that I had dreamed of was slipping away faster than I could catch it. I held my belly tighter, as if that tiny life inside me was the only thing that could give me strength. I knew then that my world had changed forever. After that terrible day, my life turned upside down. Losing my job wasn't just about the paycheck, it felt like losing a part of myself, the part that worked hard, the part that had dreams and a future. Suddenly, every plan I had made seemed to vanish into thin air. The bills didn't stop coming just because I was fired. Rent, groceries, doctor visits, everything still needed to be paid. But now, there was no steady income. My husband and I tried to make ends meet, but the fear of not having enough money was a constant weight pressing down on my chest. Being pregnant made everything harder. Every ache, every tired moment, every doctor's appointment reminded me that I was carrying a life that depended on me. I worried not only for myself but for the baby growing inside. How could I protect us both when the world seemed to be closing in? I started applying for other jobs right away. But one by one, doors closed. Sometimes I was honest about my pregnancy. Sometimes I wasn't, but I could see it in their eyes. The hesitation, the doubt, it was like I was invisible. Or worse, a problem they didn't want to deal with. Each rejection was a stab to my heart. I kept telling myself, it's not fair, I'm capable. I can still do this. But the answers never changed. No one wanted to take a chance on a pregnant woman. At home, my husband tried to be my rock. He held me when I cried, whispered words of comfort, and promised that we would get through it together. But I could see the worry in his eyes too. He felt helpless, just like me. We were partners, but even he couldn't fix what was happening outside our little world. One night, after a long day of searching and failing, I sat on the couch and let the tears fall freely. "I'm scared," I whispered. "What if I'm never good enough again? What if this is how it ends?" He took my hand and said, "You're not alone, we'll find a way, I promise." Still, there were moments when I felt invisible to the world, like no one saw me beyond the bump in my belly, or the woman who had lost her job. I wondered if anyone cared about the pain I was feeling, or the fight I was trying to hold on to. But even in those dark moments, a small voice inside me refused to be silenced. I remembered who I was, a woman who worked hard, who loved fiercely, who never gave up. I reminded myself that this wasn't the end. I still had my dignity. I still had my courage. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to give up without a fight, even if I had to face it all alone. For days after losing my job, I felt lost in a fog. My husband Daniel never left my side. He was quiet, more serious than usual, and I could tell something was weighing on him too. One evening, after a long, exhausting day, he finally spoke up. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice steady but filled with something like determination. I looked at him, confused. "I haven't told you everything about my work." He took a deep breath. "I'm not just your husband. I'm also a key investor in the company that fired you." I stared at him, shocked. "What? Why didn't you tell me before?" "I wanted you to stand on your own," he explained gently. "I wanted you to show your strength without any help from me. I believed in you, still do. But now, after seeing how they treated you, I can't just sit back." The truth hit me like a wave. All this time, Daniel had been quietly connected to the very place that shattered my world. And yet, he never used that power until now. "We can fix this," he said, squeezing my hand. "But we have to be smart. We can't just storm in and demand things. We need proof, legal evidence of what they did to you. And I have that." He explained that as an investor, he had access to company documents, emails, messages, internal notes, that showed the CEO and other leaders were aware of my pregnancy, and had discussed firing me specifically because of it. It was discrimination, illegal and unforgivable. "We're going to take this to the highest level," Daniel said quietly. "I'm going to confront the CEO in the boardroom, with the board watching. He won't be able to deny it. And if he doesn't make things right, we can push for serious consequences. This will ruin his reputation and the company's." My heart pounded. Part of me was terrified. What if things went wrong? What if the CEO retaliated? But another part was filled with hope. Hope that justice could be served, that my voice would finally be heard. We spent hours planning every detail. Daniel made calls to his legal contacts. I practiced what I would say, how I would stay calm, even when everything inside me screamed to cry or shout. "I'm scared," I admitted one night. "What if they don't listen? What if I lose everything again?" Daniel smiled gently. "You're stronger than you know, and this time you're not alone." The day of the confrontation came faster than I expected. I dressed carefully, not just for myself but for the baby. I wanted to show them that I was proud, not broken. As we walked into the boardroom, my stomach twisted with nerves. The CEO was already there, his usual cold expression fixed on his face. But this time, he didn't look as confident. Maybe he sensed what was coming. Daniel stepped forward, documents in hand. "Mr. Carter, we need to talk about your recent decision to fire Emily," he said firmly. I stood beside him, my heart pounding in my ears. The room was silent, all eyes on us. I could feel the weight of every moment, every breath. This was it, the moment that would change everything. The day I was called back to the office, my heart was pounding in my chest. I didn't know what to expect. Would they apologize? Would they pretend nothing happened, or was this something worse? When I walked into the boardroom, the CEO was there, sitting with the same cold, arrogant expression that had haunted me before. His eyes flicked over me like I was a problem he wanted to erase, but before I could say a word, the door opened again. Daniel stepped inside, not alone this time. Behind him were several serious-looking people, lawyers, his legal team, and he held a thick folder of papers in his hands. The room went quiet. Mr. Carter's confident mask cracked for a moment, as he took in the scene. Daniel didn't hesitate. "Mr. Carter, I am here not just as Emily's husband, but as a key investor in this company," he said firmly. "We have undeniable proof that you terminated Emily's employment solely because she is pregnant. That is illegal discrimination." He placed the folder on the table, sliding it toward the CEO. "These are emails, internal memos, and witness statements. The board will be reviewing this immediately. If you do not act quickly to resolve this, the legal consequences will be severe, and the company's reputation will be destroyed." I stood there, my heart racing. Part of me wanted to burst into tears. Another part was filled with relief and pride. Pride in Daniel for standing up for me, pride in myself for holding on through everything. The CEO's face went pale. He stammered, searching for words, but none came. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by fear and desperation. The lawyers spoke quietly among themselves, and after what felt like an eternity, the CEO cleared his throat. "Emily, I'm retracting the termination. I apologize for the decision and the pain it caused," he said stiffly. "You will be reinstated immediately with full protections." Daniel nodded, then looked directly at Mr. Carter. "Let this be a lesson about respect and justice. No one should be treated like this, especially not someone carrying a child." The room held its breath as the CEO, defeated, nodded. I felt tears prick my eyes, tears of relief, tears of victory. I was going back to the job I loved, but this time, I knew I had something more than just a title. I had respect, I had justice. Looking back, I never imagined that losing my job would become the hardest and most important battle of my life. At first, I felt broken, scared, humiliated, and alone. But slowly, I realized something powerful. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up, even when you feel like you can't. The unfair firing was more than just losing a paycheck. It was an attack on my dignity, on my right to be both a mother and a professional. But with Daniel's support and my own determination, what felt like an ending became a fight for justice and respect. I found a voice I didn't know I had. To anyone watching this, I want you to know this: no matter how dark the moment feels, don't give up. Stand up for yourself, even if the world tries to push you down. You deserve respect, kindness, and fairness. Your dreams matter, and so do you. Now, as I prepare to return to work, I feel stronger, braver, and more hopeful than ever. This isn't just a new job for me, it's a new beginning for my family and me. We've faced fear and uncertainty, but we came out the other side together. If my story resonates with you, please like this video, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories of courage and hope. And don't forget to share this video with someone who might need a little strength today. Thank you for listening to my journey. Remember, sometimes the hardest battles lead to the greatest victories. If this story inspired you, please give the video a like, it really helps support the channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you've faced something similar, so please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional real stories like this one. And if you believe in standing up against unfair treatment, share this video with your friends and family. Together, we can spread awareness about workplace discrimination, and show the power of staying strong, no matter what life throws at us.